Hello, in this video we're going to talk about creating citations. So what are citations? Citations, according to Google, is a quotation from a reference to a book, paper or author, especially in a scholarly work. I know, that could be complex. Example, this right here is a citation. And what this citation means is that this sentence, and by extension this entire paragraph, is written based on concepts from a paper published by these two authors. In that way, a citation is basically a reference pointing to show that you, in writing this paper, in writing this chapter, in writing this sentence, you've borrowed something from this and these particular authors. So when you're creating a citation, there are several tools you're going to use. The first tools, Google Scholar and WorldCat, which are basically the same. Google Scholar is a tool from Google. WorldCat is a similar tool. They all have list publications, and you can pick publications on a specific topic from both sites. The other one is Citation Machine. Citation Machine, you're going to use it to find citations that you can't find in Google or WorldCat. Okay, so here's the official page for Google Scholar, and let's look for a random essay and create citations. So like here, there's a paper about the Second Amendment I read some time back. Let it load up. Okay, it's cited in MLA. Don't worry about that for now. We're going to deal with it later. So we want to look for citations for this paper. Why the Second Amendment should not be removed. So what are we going to do? We come back to Google Scholar, easy peasy, and we search. One rule with citations is that when you're creating citations for a piece of work, you should use citations that were published within the past 7 years. So we're right now in 2020. You can only use citations from 2013 upwards. So just to be safe, you're going to start with citations from 2016 onwards. So we're going to click on the left bar since 2016. So it's all many pages of citations, of references, of publications on the Second Amendment. So for example, loaded a disarming history. We can, for example, pick this. So you want to pick a citation for the paper, for the Second Amendment paper. What do? Click here, choose the formatting style that you want. So in our case, it's MLA. We're just going to click here and it copies everything. Copy that citation, then come back to your paper. In our case, it's this paper about the Second Amendment. Go down, all the way down to the bottom of the paper. So these are the other references that I listed when I wrote this paper, but this is the first point where you place the citations at the bottom of the paper. In MLA, this section is called works cited. In APA, the section is called references. So you come here, Control V to paste the citation, and here's a citation, you've pasted it. So that's basically how to get a citation from Google Scholar to your paper. Okay. We can get a citation from WorldCat too. It's basically the same thing. Search for Second Amendment. I won't go over it. It's really simple. They're basically just one and the same thing. What I'm going to focus on is Citation Machine. So Google Scholar and WorldCat do not have citations on websites or on other informal things. So once in a while you find a paper where you need to cite a website, you need to cite an article. That's when Citation Machine really shines, because you come to Citation Machine, you click on the website, then for example you look for the website and paste URL of the website here. So for example, we're talking about the Second Amendment, and the paper, for example, may require us to include an article from the New York Times as a citation. So there's the New York Times. I've searched for the Second Amendment, New York Times. Here are several articles on the New York Times about the Second Amendment. For example, I may like this article. I'll open it in a new tab. Here it is. I copy the URL like this. You come back to the Citation Machine, paste the URL, click search. Well, here it is. It has found your article. Click cite. Okay, continue. Well, everything is done. I'm clicking complete the citation. Complete the citation. Here's your citation. Here's the complete citation. Once you've created the citation, you can come here, change the style, change it, it's MLA. Remember, our paper is MLA. Copy the citation. After you've copied the citation, go back to your paper, scroll to the bottom of the paper, add your citation here, Control V. So we have this citation is from Google Scholar. This citation was from Citation Machine. Okay, so by this Citation Machine, you can create a manual citation. Let's say there's a book or a source that the client has given you, and he wants you to precisely cite that source. And you've searched on Google Scholar, you haven't found the source. So come back to Citation Machine, click on Create Citations, website, or even a book. Then click on Create Manual Citation. This time you're not going to enter the URL. Enter the title of the article, the name of the author, the last name of the author. So then you just complete the citation and do the same thing over and over. So those are the three sources, three places you can get your citation. Citation Machine, if the citation is not available on Google Scholar, and if you want to manually enter details of the citation. Google Scholar, just simple, search about the topic, pick the year range, copy the citation. Same thing for WorldCat. Now, once you've transferred your citation from either Google Scholar, Citation Machine to your paper, there's one last thing. For every citation in the works cited page, every citation you bring to your paper, you have to create an in-text citation. Here's an example of an in-text citation, Johnson et al. 300. So it's saying that this citation I've cited down here, I used it on this particular sentence. One rule about in-text citations, there should be no in-text citation in the introduction of the paper, introduction paragraph. There should be no in-text citation in the conclusion of the paragraph. There should be no in-text citation in the first sentence, unless it's a sentence like this that's dealing with statistics, and you should not add an in-text citation to the last sentence of a paragraph, because essentially the last sentence of a paragraph is summarizing the entire paragraph. So let's get an in-text citation as an example. We have our paper here. The author is Dunban Ortiz Roxanne, 2018. So I'm going to pick, this is just one author. I'm going to pick the first name of the author. So what do we know? We can put an in-text citation in the first sentence. We can put an in-text citation in the last sentence. We have to look for a sentence in between here. So for example, you can put it here. Let's pick any random sentence, no big deal. We'll talk about then. So in-text citation, there are different ways to input an in-text citation depending on the reference of the in-text citation. So in APA, it's author year. In MLA, it's author page. So that's why we're going to set the name of the author and the page. And most of the time they just delete this. This is our in-text citation for these references. So you continue doing the same for all the references in your works cited until you're done. Remember, the number of references to include in the works cited will be highlighted on the details of the paper in step 2. You'll already have known that from step 2. That's all about the citation of the paper. Thank you.